brofist to you all as we rave our temporary gavel to the sky. Baggy will be our gavel today because I'm missing my usual gavel. I don't know where it is. I suspect my kids have stolen it. But that's okay because it's Friday once again. Once again in Manchester, though, we are sat in ball soup as it has got extraordinarily hot in the last 3 hours here. But that's all right because you guys have been sending in your tales from around the world. And there's a couple here that are very curious indeed. One of them appears to point to the FF crawlers, perhaps not being the nicest people. I doubt that's the case, but that's what I'm reading from the title. And somebody who is very upset, maybe, that we judge the ERPers too harshly. And I would never disrespect the joys and wonder of Vor or anything like that. Along with some other tales you guys have been sending us to drama@preachgaming.com, and we always love to hear from you guys of the weird and wonderful things that happen out there in the internet world, especially with MMO season picking up again. We've got the WoW patch, the races coming, big events at Gamescom, and of course FF14 is likely to start ramping up into its next expansion knowledge in the soonish future. And we've got a Guild Wars 2 expansion coming as well. It's going to be very busy for the MMO gamers out there. But of course, it doesn't have to be for an MMO. Now, what do I need for this? I don't need a guild name. Interesting. Okay. But the title is Spriggan is now ruined. Spriggan is now ruined. Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what this is. To be fair, I think general activities have been a little quiet. Don't know where that came from. Excuse me. A little quiet as of late. We haven't done anything major. At least I haven't. I can protest my innocence because I haven't run any major FF events in a while. Right? It's been pretty quiet over in the FF world. Not had cause to do anything big, but I do want to remind people, of course, housing is coming to WoW. FF DJs, we're going to be needing you at New Year's. Just saying, we're probably going to need you guys. As neighborhoods are on their way, and will be here before the end of year. So, something to notice is introducing a different environment to what's going to that lifestyle that maybe we can bring over there. Could be a bit of fun. Could be a bit of fun. All right. Spriggan is now ruined. Let's find out what this is about. Hello, Preach. That's not a good start. Hello, Preach and others. Okay. This might as well have started Dear Sirs, right? Dear Sirs. Hello, Preach, and others. Okay. Are you the others? Mike, I wish to talk about Final Fantasy XIV and some drama that has been unfolding within communities on the entire Chaos data center. Maybe not crawlers, then. Interesting. There is a community that exists in FF that I consider to be quite monstrous. They care little for how they act and believe that they are in charge of the entire system. Any guesses as to which community this might be? It's not the crawlers. It's not the crawlers. It's actually a community based around a piece of content. It's not the Lalas. No, it's community. I was surprised, actually, so I don't think this is the crawlers. It's not housing. No, not mentors. Not the raiders. Come on. It is. Oh, Braggart's nailed it. The Hunt community. The Hunt community. I guarantee, is this like... I absolutely detest how fast they go. You heard about this. Okay, is this an event I'm not aware of? Hunt drama. Oh, God. Okay, this is apparently some sort of event I'm not aware of. Okay, and no one in my chat's brought up either. Anyway, obviously we've got people here who don't play FF. For those who are not familiar with what hunts are in FF14, every outdoor area has special monsters. If you're a WoW player, these would be like rare elites. They have different scales. Some of them are B ranked, some of them are A ranked, some of them are S ranked. B ranks respawn a few seconds after being killed. A ranks respawn a few hours after being killed. And usually people will organize a train to kill a bunch of them at once. Yes, so this happens in Guild Wars as well. It does not happen in World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is kind of the exception on this. But the timers are very predictable for when all these things are going to spawn in these games. So what happens is Discords are set up. The hunt train is starting. And you will literally very rapidly go through like sometimes like 20 plus rare monsters and kill them off, right? It's quite fun, actually. I've done it several times. It's a great way of collecting resources. It's really, really a cool thing. It's very, very fast, though. If you're not up to speed on the lingo and stuff, you can get left behind sometimes. But if you are, certainly if you like WoW mount farming, it's like all the mount monsters are up and you can go A, B, C, D and have tries at a bunch of mounts instead of camping one for ages. Okay. Usually there will be organized trains, that we call them, to kill a bunch of these all at once. But then there are the S ranks. These have a different spawn condition. Some, you have to kill a certain number of monsters, otherwise you need to go over a certain spot with a particular minion. Is that true? I did not know that. You have to go to a certain like geographical area with a certain pet out to make it appear. Interesting. Was that something somebody found? Or did they let you know that's how you did it? That's kind of cool, like to have that discover and then a rare, you know, a world boss or whatever would spawn. Yeah, some conditions are wild. I'd be interested in looking at that. That's pretty crazy. There's probably a top 5 video there, actually. Chris, if you're listening, write it down of like strangest ways of obtaining things in MMOs, because there are some really bizarre ones now I think about it. Some very, very bizarre ones to get some things to happen. Okay. Other types, you need to blow yourself up on Blue Mage. I don't know about that either. So what, do you go to a certain spot and kill yourself and then it spawns an S rank? You know that one? That's really interesting. I bet there's some very cool ones if we did some research. Bex, you're involved now. Once killed, the window for once the S rank is killed, the window for them to respawn will open in something like 24 to 48 hours. And then will take more time for that window to cap and usually guarantee the spawn. Okay, so I do know this. It can spawn in that window, but it's at some point in that window. It's not like specific. Oh, it's 24 hours and now it spawns. I wish to tell you specifically about S ranks. Okay. Like everything else in FF14, there's a dedicated community to the hunt. There's some nice rewards to get. The currencies you get from killing these mobs are useful, especially ones from the newest expansion. Yeah, it was acorns or something we got last time. And there are a lot of hunting achievements to go for. Nowadays, most people, at least on the Chaos Data Center, some of them are different, use a website and related Discord called Falloop to report spawns and kill times, so there's always an accurate record of what could be spawning. Now, while I did start playing FF14 before world travel was implemented, I only got into hunting after it came out, so my knowledge of how things were in the before times is all secondhand. But like each data center has its own hunt culture. I didn't know this. This is a world of education for me. I would have thought it would be the same everywhere. The train is up. Choo-choo, we're off. Now, back then, as far as I understand, each world had its own way of doing things. This was in a time before websites like Falloop or any such centralized place to get this information. Some of these worlds are very gatekeepy. In FF, that can't be true. There ain't no way. Very gatekeepy. No, that ain't no way. I have heard stories, tales, legacies from people who were back then about spawn conditions and locations being jealously guarded by a certain few dedicated hunt leaders. People who needed to prove themselves before they would be allowed to spawn the monster. They would have spreadsheets detailing who spawned what, and who was authorized or not authorized to spawn S ranks. You are not authorized? I mean, how can you stop somebody? Right? Like, how can you stop somebody from going and blowing themselves up? Like, what are you going to do? I mean, this has happened in WoW as well with the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj. I famously told the story of one of my guildies from Kill Count Lost, my Burning Crusade Wrath guild, whose server transferred and just went and banged the gong to get his mount, and they had been planning it for months on that server. And he just went to the general forums and went, oh, lol, didn't know you were planning something. Anyways, I banged the gong, so you better go and do it to get your mount. Oh, Vesp, you absolute legend. My man just rocks over, just goes and bangs the fucking gong. He was not... he did have to change his character name after that happened. People were not happy. And there is a general unpleasantness. I mean, I know I'm going off topic here, but the amount of... What would we call it? It is gatekeeping, but the amount of self-appointed authority that occurs in MMOs is magical to me. Like, it's a whole part of the community of being in an MMO is like these self-appointed arbiters and gatekeepers of this piece of content that was never designed that way, but they set up these communities and there's a hierarchy, all that kind of stuff. Like, it really, I find it like a big part of the experience. Like, I really like it, having to deal with these people, even though they're like insane to me, right? But like, I still find it as a big fun part of MMOs is that these communities and councils and all these kinds of groups are set up, and they do feel like they wield some level of authority that they've just bestowed upon themselves in some way. And you're like, well, you literally can't do anything about this, so what are you talking about, right? Like, I'm their nightmare. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I could literally just go and do this whenever I feel like it. Like, I don't know what you think's going to happen here. I guess it's happening these days in WoW with the crafting professions, right? That's been a big deal since they changed it in Dragonflight, is the crafting mafia, who are trying to set and restrict prices for crafting things to be certain prices. These like cartels that have been set up and messaging people and trying to shut them down, and all these kinds of things have been happening. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Weird, but still kind of cool. Like, you are dealing with people who probably are at work constantly like maintaining contact with the members of the cartel to monitor situations and take action and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know, simultaneously they're in a Teams call talking about the latest software delivery they've got in 6 months or whatever. Anyway, I find it really cool. Like I said, I never actually experienced that myself, so maybe it wasn't as bad as the stories tell me, but having played MMOs for a while, it probably was exactly like that. So as you can imagine, the people that acted like this were not happy about the introduction of world travel. Is this true as well? The concept of world travel being met as a bad thing. Why? That's insane, right? That is definitely true. Yes, okay, the old heads recall this happening. They were not happy about the introduction of world travel. The reason they were so unhappy is because it meant they had to deal with the other hunt train organizers all over the Chaos State. So if you're not sure about FF, Chaos is like a group of worlds. So it's what, like 10 worlds, something like that. They had to then deal with people from other worlds within Chaos coming to their world and, in their opinion, stealing their S ranks that they had worked so hard to control. A power struggle. Oh, I like this. This story's great, actually. I'm so happy it's not the crawlers being absolute bastards. Meetings began to take place. Some of these people were designated spawners. These were the authorized people allowed to spawn the S rank. The spawn. Oh my god, it's like a Maze Runner, or fucking what was that other like YA movie with like Dauntless and shit, where everybody had to go in a little box and you're a spawner, you're a fucking spreadsheeter. You know what I mean? You know what we're talking about? It was like we had all them fucking movies, didn't we? Like Maze Runner and whatever the other one was. That's your role. That's where you've got to be. No, not Ender's Game. What the Divergent. That was it. Divergent. Yeah. It was the one that they tried to turn into a TV show and all the cast quit. That one. I remember that happening. The spawners from each world began to negotiate with each other. There were obviously benefits to world travel. There would be more hunts for everyone to go to grind their achievements faster, or cap on their weekly tombstones quicker. Cross-world link shells were then set up to share flags and coordinate the spawns, with the biggest one having spawners from each world on it, and it was called None Your Business. Named after the original S rank Nunya Unui. Nunyanui. During this discussion, rules was beginning to set down. Okay, now we're getting some rules. We need a proclamation is what we need. We need a proclamation. At first, the rules were simple. If you were an authorized Nunyu spawner, you agreed that you would only spawn on your own world. So you got territory. Okay, so we're dividing up the world. This is your territory. If you did not spawn the S rank, you wanted for the spawner to pull. Things like that. If you didn't spawn the S rank, you wanted for the spawner to pull. Things like that. Oh, so who's pulling the boss? Okay. If there were any problems or complaints, you could then refer your problems and complaints to your authorized registered world leader. Fuck off. They called themselves world leader. Emperor of Spriggan. I am the Omnisire. I speak for Spriggan. Bring me your words. Speak, priest. Who's our leader? Do we know? Who's the leader of Spriggan? Who's our Kwisatz Haderach? Who's the Lisan Al Gahib? Yeah, I need to know. It's a new level. Is it Zoe? We sent Zoe. We sent Zoe on behalf of Spriggan. Speak your words to her. The person or persons who would speak on behalf of their world. Okay. The rumors say they need 1,000 sprouts a day to survive. We sent Home Run Takeshi. This is incredible. I love this. They would then convene, oh my god, with other world leaders and the ones who made and announced the rules. Oh, those are separate. So they're like the lawmakers. I wonder what title they have. Who's actually drafting up the documentation? That's who I need to know. Who's the bureaucrats here? Who's the lawyers? Yeah, who's the ones who like make the decrees? Speaker of the House. And they would also be the ones who would scold members of the community who were disobeying the rules. Then they hit a problem. Faloop became much more popular than them. This is great what you guys are doing over here. A lot of fun. Like it. However, this over here is just way better. So I don't know what you want to do, because like what you guys are doing is great. Like, we're really impressed. You've got world leaders, lawmakers, spawners. You've got all this little tribe thing going on. But over here, there's just a list of when things are spawning, and it's pretty cool. As mentioned before, Floop is a website that the spawners on Chaos can use. It was adopted by the Nunyu spawners. You can make an account to report the S-rank spawns, map the S-rank spawn points, keep A-rank timers up to date, and it also has timers for the major fates, which is just outdoor random events. It's pretty useful if you like that content, but not just anyone can report S-ranks. They quickly set about making sure that to gain S-rank privilege, it could only be granted by your world leader. So, like, you had to be knighted? Was there a ceremony? I feel like there was a ceremony. I feel like there must have been a ceremony where you get the sword on either side of the head and all that kind of shit. Like, you are now decreed to be an official forum poster. In my experience, this meant spawning a few times. Oh, you had to show that you were capable of spawning a monster. Nice. You would usually get invited to a local spawner link shell, and then they would observe you spawning the S rank. I feel like it's Paul Atreides being sent out by the Fremen to summon a worm to ride, right? They all stand there just fucking... just watching as you go out there and you spawn the monster. Wow, there it is. That's sick. He's got the right minion. Fucking gangster. Once you had done this, you would get access. And when people knew you were going to spawn regularly and weren't a troll looking to be a dick, I mean, that's something we can laugh all we want at how seriously some people take this, but let's face facts. If you've ever done this, you've definitely benefited from these guys' work. Because there ain't most of us who are reporting rank spawns and shit like that. And going through, like, the summoning, the knighting process, the ceremony. Like, we've all benefited from this shit. Because, Mike and listeners, while there are different levels of access on Floop, the way it worked is that your character was linked to your data center. You have reports spawned from any world, not just your own. But of course, if you are a Nunyu spawner, you would never do something so outrageous and blasphemous as to spawn an S rank on a different world. Okay. Now, it always felt to me that Nunyu was basically just Floop. That is one in the same. You couldn't get full access to reporting rights on Falloop if you didn't agree to the Nunyu Manifesto, even though they are technically two separate things. Of course, there were people who spawned who were part of neither on Chaos, but not many would defy the rules of Nunyu. There are always outliers. I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I liked spawning monsters. It was my reward. But I didn't do it enough to be bothered about spawning on other worlds. So the rules and all this that was going on in the backgrounds just didn't seem a big deal to me. Oh dear. You're about to get the attention of the council. You're about to break the non-existent laws. Guilty. Yeah, guilty. This person's about to get their... catch the eye of Sauron staring at them. Here's the problem, Mike. That was when everything just started. But over the years, the rules began to grow. Became a little bit more complex. Some worlds actually decided they didn't mind cross-world spawning, even in a limited capacity. And they had slightly different rules. All the rules started to change. Some worlds voted. There was a vote. Some worlds held votes on the changes to the rules among their spawners, but not every world attended. Ziggs says, I spawned on other servers. Is that wrong? This story might be about you, Ziggs. Someone on Spriggan has been spawning on other worlds, and we know who it is. Eventually, it got very, very complicated. I will show you a screenshot to prove my point. I believe this is from sometime during the Endwalker expansion. I do not have a screenshot, Bex. I have a big triangle hazard arrow with an exclamation mark in it. Should I have a screenshot, Bex? Because I don't. I have a big picture box with nothing in it. So, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I just have... wait a minute. All right, if you got a screenshot, you can just Discord it me, Bex, maybe. Something like that. I'm on Phantom, lol, it's not me. You said you've been doing it across worlds, Ziggs. Your story doesn't hold fucking water, does it? You will be reprimanded and subpoenaed to appear before the Falloop Nunyu Council on Saturday at 6 p.m, where you will be tried for your heresy. Okay? Because kind of sounds like you're a heretic. Yeah, fuck you, Ziggs. You're ruining... We made rules for a reason. Mike, if you broke the rules, you were reprimanded. Usually with a world leader from the offended world speaking to your world leader, who would then speak to you like you were a disappointing child. Break the rules enough, and you would lose your... Oh my god. Guys, you're not going to believe what the ultimate punishment is. If you broke the rules too much, you would lose your Falloop website access. Yeah. Not only that, it gets worse. Not only that. You would be derobed and defrocked as a registered non-new spawner. I don't even know what to say. Oh, okay. I've got the screenshot. Hold on. Oh my god. Okay. Let me magnify this. Okay. This is the cheat sheet. Hold on. All right, give me a second to show you this, because this is kind of excessive. This is more than I thought it was going to be. We have the rules. We actually have them. All right. Let's go here. That might play a weird video. Okay. Give me a sec. All right, here we go. The cross-world spawning cheat sheet. Our rules have grown more complex over the years, and so have all the exceptions. This world-based cheat sheet could come in handy when you're not quite sure. If you are from Cerberus, you can spawn on Spriggan at all times. So Spriggan didn't give a fuck. The first thing I see is Spriggan was like, I don't fucking care. Spawn away, baby! Spawn away! You can spawn on Luiswa, Omega, Phantom, Ragnarok, and Sagittarius during the midnight open hours of 2 a.m. till 9 a.m. You cannot spawn on Luiswa directly after maintenance. You are not allowed to spawn on Moogle. If you are from Luiswa, you can spawn on Cerberus, Omega, Phantom, Ragnarok, Sag, and Spriggan during 2 till 9 a.m. You cannot spawn on other worlds after maintenance. You are not... What's going on Moogle? If you are from Moogle, just a red X, you cannot spawn on other worlds. What's going on Moogle? Oh, it's the French. Gommaged. They'll fucking gommage you if you fuck around on Moogle. Moogle doesn't accept it. They'll fucking Claire obscure you immediately. You'll be giga fucking gommaged. Holy shit. Yeah, don't fuck around on Moogle. They take that shit seriously. If you're from Omega, you can spawn on the two... Okay, so the rules are pretty similar except for Moogle, pretty much. Don't touch Moogle. This feels like the warning from the end of 2001. All these worlds are yours except, fuck, Europa. Never step foot on Europa. You can have everything else. Do not touch Moogle. Yeah, I feel like this story is like incentivizing some people to go to Moogle and start spawning shit. Phantom is the same. Ragnarok is the same, pretty much. I wonder how these deals were negotiated. So most of them are the same, except for a couple. Like, Phantom is allowed to spawn on the Sagittarius realm at all times, but no one else is. Cerberus can spawn on Spriggan at all times, but no one else can. Was this like a trade deal? Like, how was this struck? Ragnarok can't do... Ragnarok cannot spawn on... Okay, Luiswa has just got this one rule about after maintenance. If you're from Spriggan, you could spawn on Cerberus at all times, so they struck an accord. But they're not allowed to... No one's allowed on Moogle. Okay, so Moogle, as we've now come to find out, is a protected state. The French are up to their own shit and don't want any involvement with anybody else. Leave us the fuck alone. Okay, so don't mess around on Moogle. It's still like this today. Yeah. Apparently. The English are coming. I am not being blamed. I just want any Mooglers to know I am not being blamed if some shit goes down as a result of this tale we're telling here. Okay. There was then a spreadsheet created with the disavowed. You were actually called disavowed. If you were stripped of your rights to post on Falloop and be a part of the Nunnu Spawner Club, you were disavowed. Honestly, I always thought this thing was a little bit silly. I mean, if it works, it works. But as I managed to not make my entire game life about hunts, and because the other hunters on my server were fine, mostly, but that's a different drama story. All of these rules didn't actually affect me. I wasn't spawning on other worlds, so what does it matter and why are we here? Because, Mike, it really did matter to some people. And I started to find out that there was a growing discontent, especially on one particularly aggressive world, known to the others as where all the idiots live. Spriggan. Is that true? Are we on the world that is, like, renowned as where the clowns come from? Is that the circuit? That's us. It's like, oh, fuck me. It's the Spriggan people. I don't think that's because of anything we've done, right? To be fair, I don't play as much as some of you on Spriggan, so this is mainly your fault. Nothing to do with me. Now, Mike, you don't help, though. Even though I wasn't someone who's on the inside of all these things happening in the community, I did have friends who were. And I had sometimes heard people from my world and others complaining specifically about Spriggan. Their hunts and hunt leaders had a very bad attitude. Can I ask a question? Isn't Furion a registered hunt leader of Spriggan? He is. Okay. Okay. Just checking. About how the hunt leaders of Spriggan were not only rude, cantankerous, nice word, but seemingly were always trying to bend or break the rules. Things like that were known amongst the people in the know. Now, the only time I ever saw something strange with Spriggan myself was when one of the Spriggan spawners made a party finder for a group for an S rank before the rank had even been notified on Falloop. This is a massive no-no. What if we just don't fucking tell them and we make a group and we go and fucking kill it before all they show up? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Not that it matters at all, right? Once Falloop got wind of this, as did the council, I can't keep calling these guys the council. I have to. There was a little squabble in shout chat over it, and I assume the Spriggan spawner was once again in trouble. It all seems stupid to me. Who cares, right? Saying that, I do regret that I did join in hating on Spriggan, because honestly, some of the people from Spriggan are complete idiots. But there was a bigger oh my god, there was a bigger problem with Spriggan. They were different to all the other servers. They were the loudest voice who felt that rules were a waste of time and were actively lobbying to get rid of the rules in the name of chaos. Who is it? Who is it? Who the fuck is it? Who is it? Who is it? None of you are going to admit to it, but who the fuck is it? There is no way. Well, it's called chaos. Let's go. It depends. Let's go. Fuck it. Let anarchy reign, baby. I'm not involved in the case. Yeah, I'm not. You can see the screenshot provided that Spriggan and Cerberus were allowed to spawn in each other's worlds at all times. This was a part of Spriggan's attempt to break down the walls, as they described it, and let chaos reign. They said they didn't care, and it seemed that Cerberus was also joining in. That's why they can do whatever. Okay, at first it looked like I thought they'd struck a trade agreement or some sort of corroborative plan where they were working together, like a genuine like truce. But it turns out that they just want anarchy and fuck the rules. It's actually much simpler than that. They just don't care. Okay. I mean, this points to Spriggan. I should probably clarify. Spriggan is the server the crawlers are on for our audio listeners, including myself. Is that they are in fact heretics. Okay. I was then made aware that some representatives from Spriggan were actively reaching out to other servers, including the lieutenants of the council, to sow chaos and make the rules irrelevant. All of them were being universally refused. They tried... If I fucking find out it's one of you guys, I've just been like, wouldn't it be funny if... I think it's arms. It sounds such an arms thing to do. It really does. It sounds like it's arms, honestly. It does. It sounds like you just thought, wouldn't it be funny if... I believe some of the servers who truly believe in democracy decided to vote on the Spriggan request for chaos, but many of the world leaders outright refused to attend the voting. But then Dawn Trail released, and with it 6 shiny new S ranks. One of these S ranks, Senshea, is spawned in Shaloni after successfully completing a particular fate 3 times in a row. Shaloni also has a special boss fate, the one that you can get the capybara mount from. To spawn the boss fate, you need to complete a chain of fates different to the one that spawns the S rank. Okay, so fates pop up in every map, little quick events, kill 10 mobs or collect some shit. Some of them have mounts, some of them are just for experience, and so on and so forth. So we've got a string of them that leads to getting a mount, but there's a different one that spawns the S rank boss. As such, this caused problems for the council, and they had to make a new decree. Spawners from other worlds, under the terms of the armistice. Under the terms of the armistice, will follow the new exemption. They are no longer welcome to enter the Shalani zone if the S rank is close to spawning, even if they are close to spawning the boss fate. Otherwise, you would be liable of being accusing to steal the S rank even if you were just in the zone. But anybody can do it. Are you telling me now, if you're putting in all the effort to get on the council to be knighted, to have privileges, you're not allowed now to take part in something completely different because it must be you who spawned the S rank? Wouldn't the people who are the registered fucking order of spawners or whatever be the ones least likely to break the rules compared to someone like fucking me who's like, oh, there's a fate here. Ooh, I'm going to do it. Right? I'm your problem because I don't know any of this shit. If I'm just doing I'll walk into any fate and just fucking... I'm the issue, you know what I mean? I'm the problem because I don't know what it fucking does, as well as like a million of other people. Once this decree was laid down, it was the straw that broke Spriggan's back. Not long after this decree, Spriggan dropped a chaos bomb. They announced that they, as an entire world, would no longer abide by any of the rules. There's no way this is true. Where's Furion? We renounce. We're separatists. We're breaking away. Revolution! Chaos! 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 They would forsake Nunyu. And they declared that they would spawn on any world they wanted, and that likewise, anybody could spawn whatever they wanted on Spriggan whenever they felt like it. They just sent a fucking middle finger to the whole system. Sprexit. It's Sprexit. Preach. I wish more than anything that I had been the world leader chat when this happened, to have seen the reactions with my own eyes of the people who took this more seriously than they took anything else in the game. All I know is that it was received very, very badly. In the eyes of the people who had been managing and constructing this entire system for several years at this point, they considered it a betrayal of the highest order. I know that words like betrayal, broken trust, disrespect were thrown around constantly, as were some very personal insults. And those people who had always tried to control access to what they viewed as their S ranks would not let it stand. Discussions began about restricting all members of Spriggan's access to the Faloop website. So that if... How? How? How is this to be attained? How is this possible? So that if they spawned on a server not their own, they wouldn't be able to let anybody know and would have to manually report it through some Discord and wait for an approved spawner to put it on the website, and therefore have to ping the Discord. Now, obviously, the Spriggan spawners didn't want to do that. They said that oh my god, they're going with legal technicalities. Spriggan is getting legal. Spriggan made the argument that Faloop is not technically linked to Nunyu and their rules. Faloop is an independent website that abides by the rules of Nunyu, but they are not intrinsically linked together. Motherfucking loophole, bitch. Motherfucking loophole. Yeah, you got division of government and religion. Yeah, divide them up. They said that Faloop is for the open world content for anyone to access, and that the rules laid down by a few who were not elected had gotten out of control and was no longer useful. It all got very toxic very fast. I would log into the game and see spawners on my world complaining about the idiots of Spriggan spawning something on their world. Oh, you know they did it out of spite at that point. And I have to admit, as somebody who was currently farming S ranks, I also thought, fuck Spriggan. They're ruining it for everybody. I have to admit to all of you today that I am guilty. I 100% got caught up in the bandwagon against the chaos of Spriggan. It felt like they were causing unnecessary trouble. There was tension amongst the people who were trying to get their mounts and resources. I saw snide comments made at S ranks, but most of the nastiness was kept out of the public eye. I heard that the world leader chats completely started to dissolve and people became non-friends, even though they had known each other for several years over this. Incredible. Incredible. Spriggan poisoned the well, dude. Spriggan poisoned the wells. The Great Schism. The Schism. Splendid work. This is the problem, as you can see in my live chat, which is mostly made up of members of Spriggan, is they love it. They love sowing Discord. Look at what they did to me the other day with the Great Massacre of 2625. You might not know what it is, but they know. And they had a great time with it. They had a great time with it. And it's not my fault. I want to point that out. It was all getting very toxic and poisonous. And so, people started to reach out for negotiations. Spriggan had their representative and Nunyu had theirs. Both had demands. Every few days, I'd see an update on the Discord for hunters from my world. And it very quickly became clear that peace was not an option. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And you know that's the Spriggan guys. No, peace was never an option. No peace. No balance. No give and take. The two sides were just fundamentally opposed. No matter what Spriggan argued, the fact was that Nunyu was opposed to cross-world spawning in its base idea. And they believed... Oh my God, it's like conservatives or something trying to roll back progress. They believed that if we made a rule amongst ourselves to just stick to running our own worlds and ignoring the cross-world feature, life would be much simpler. Jesus Christ, man. Progress? No progress! We're going back to the good old days when we used to sit down with our players and do our higgity Jim, and the lady was in the kitchen and the men were doing all the rum and cigars in the back room, yes. We're going back to a simpler time, everybody. Even with the current rules where you were allowed to cross-world spawn during night hours, it was something that not a lot of worlds just weren't happy with. The negotiations went on for weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Occasionally, spawners would be asked to vote on some sort of concession. Even when the vote went the way that most people wanted, Spriggan ignored the vote and spawned whatever they wanted regardless. Their philosophy was, we want to play the game without all the bullshit. We have a Spriggan spawner in chat. Let chaos. Can our live audience, please, celebrate our chaos brother, Emsically. Salute the chaos that has reigned. I don't know how accurate this is, Ems. If you want to contact Bex / Methuselah, how much of this is accurate or body. We salute the chaos. Once Spriggan ignored the rules, Nunyu came back with even more rules to try and settle things. And then the screenshots appeared. The leaks began. Not from the negotiations, but from the secret Spriggan Chaos Discord server where the spawners were hanging out. The sheer quantities of shit talk and memes against Nunyu or certain spawners was overwhelming. I love the idea, right? I do. The Nunyu guys are like trying to be like bureaucratic, try and get some sort of order, these rules in place. And over on Spriggan, they just don't give a fuck. It's like going to a dive bar. They're just sat there with whiskey. It's like, hey, Bill. Tell them we'll stop doing it if they send us like 50 barrels of resource every time the server resets. Tell them that. See what they say. And then tell them we don't want it in the first place. Just sending shit over their way to try and vote on, right? Tell them we won't do it if they agree that we could spawn anything on their world between 4:45 p.m. and 5 p.m. Make them vote on that, Greg. Go on. See what they say to that. See what they say. Once these screenshots from the Spriggan Discord server leaked, somebody else leaked the rest of the screenshots from all of the other world Discords talking mad shit about Spriggan and their spawners. It had all become a bit of a mess. In the end, there was a final vote across the data center. A huge meeting was organized. This vote, was to decide on whether Spriggan would be removed from the Faloop website or not. In counter to this meeting taking place, we need a name for this meeting, this congregation. We'll call it the congregation. The congregation to vote on Spriggan. Spriggan decided it was going to hold its own vote on whether or not they gave a fuck about what was about to happen or not. We're gonna have our own vote. You're having a congregation, are you? Well, we're gonna have our own fucking vote. The congregations were to take place through Discord. Precautions were put in place to make sure that no bad votes could be made. And it would be as legit as possible. Okay, you got to bring proof of ID. As far as I remember, 90% of Spriggan voted to fuck none you off, even if it meant losing full up access. Oh, vote on this, butts. Vote on this. 90% couldn't give a shit. And the rest of the data center, unsurprisingly, voted for Spriggan to be excommunicado from Faloop. Although it wasn't quite as one-sided as I thought it was going to be. We believe, or if I remember, it was about 60-40 in Nunyu's favor of excommunicado. Honestly, I took part in this vote, and I voted for them to keep access to Faloop. At some point, my mind started to change. I got disgusted with the whole thing and the way people were acting about it. Like this was some unforgivable sin and that Spriggan was stealing some precious resource instead of something that literally comes back in 2 days. But we agreed to abide by the vote. The people had spoken and their access was going to be revoked. Except Faloop worked by data center. And it turned out that they never had the ability to restrict a world's access. You think you'd check that before you do the vote, right? They had to reach out to the guy who had built the website originally to try and update the website to allow them to restrict Spriggan. So I assume they did manage to get this done. So, what does this all mean, audience? While before, if you had full Faloop access, you could report a spawn on the website, mark it as dead, map the location on maps where the S-Rank will spawn next, and see any other mapping done by others, a shared database of knowledge, and also see the queue if more than one is spawned at the same time. This was across the whole data center because that's how the website worked. But now, each world could restrict specific spawners from reporting spawns on their worlds, or from seeing the queue or any mapping. All Spriggan would be able to see or access was their own world, and Cerberus because they were joining in with Spriggan. Furion has arrived. I was part of this. I assume you were, Furion. You have not come out in a nice light in this story, my friend. You never told me we were considered the idiots of the data center. Most worlds blanket removed Spriggan from the spawners. I remember seeing a world leader say anyone from Spriggan needed to work to regain the trust and approval of the council in order to regain their access. I tell you, Mike, it was one of the things that caused me to start voting against the council. The hyperbolic, dramatic, flowery language just never stopped with them. Some of the worlds waited, and if anyone from Spriggan spawned and reported from their world, they would also be removed. Some required the Spriggan spawners to message them personally for access. It started to get very personal, one-on-one, and unnecessary, certainly in my eyes. And Mike, this is how it is today. Although all is calm, I hope this won't kick it all off again. I guarantee our author is one of these Spriggan spawners who's sitting there with chaos. Chaos in their heart. Whoever wrote this story is actually like Nietzsche. Sorry. Just chaos. Unleash. I wanted to write this story to you all today because it was honestly bothering me since I saw how nasty it got. Maybe because I was part of it all at first and I feel guilty. This is the place to get it off your chest. Or maybe because knowing you have to agree to the Nunyu rules to make full use of Faloop bothers me when no other data center has this kind of situation. Maybe even because I still don't really understand why S-Ranks gets people this heated. I don't know. There are some Spriggan spawners that are still in Nunyu, but a lot of them just do their own thing and live by the word of chaos. Furion, which one are you? Did you bend the knee, you little bitch? Eh? Hey, you little bitch, did you bend the knee? Did you bend the knee before the Nunyu? Did you? Did you bend the knee? I want to know. I want to know. Did you bend the knee? Brother, if I speak, I'm in trouble. Bent the fucking knee. That's an answer on its own, innit? Bent the fucking knee. I still, to this day, see people shit-talking a couple of these spawners on occasion and complaining about them spawning off their world and complaining about some of them who ignore the queue when there is more than one S-rank spawned. Yes, the queue that Nunyu voluntarily decided Spriggan wasn't allowed to see. The Spriggan spawners, who still to this day spawn wherever they want, whenever they want, still report the spawns on the Faloop Discord instead of the website, and just wait for someone to put it up there. And plenty of people from other worlds go and spawn on Spriggan. Fuck it. Yeah, send it. We even have people from Light spawning here now with data center travel. Oh, it must have got so much worse when the cross data center travel happened. Oh, how is it now? What was it like when Light was allowed in? Anarchy, baby. I'm still technically, as of writing this, in Nunyu with all their rules. Obviously, I will remain anonymous. But between this and generally losing interest in FF at the moment, I don't do much hunting anymore, and I'm definitely not the only one that has drifted away. I know people who quit spawning completely over this event. I know people who agree with Spriggan. Should we take a vote at the end? Hold it for now. We'll take a vote. But won't say it publicly because they don't want the backlash from the people on their world or from the world leaders. They don't want to lose their Faloop access. I cannot overstate how toxic this situation got. All because a small number of people couldn't deal with a changing culture and want to keep their stranglehold of control on the community. A community that I believe, in the author's words, this isn't me, as in it's not me preach, this is our author, a community that I believe they've done a lot of damage to. I still don't understand why they're like this about silly S-ranks, but any niche community will have its dickheads, I suppose. The end. Well, I think we could take a little vote. We're not going to do a vote by, like, clicking, just a chat vote. See, like, ignore the poll. Ignore the poll. It's always inaccurate. But do we stand with Spriggan, or do you bend the knee? Are you a heretic? Self-professed heretic? Do you stand with Spriggan? Do you raise your flag of chaos? We stand. Do we stand? I am Cerberus and I stand with Spriggan. Stand with chaos. Do you stand with Spriggan, Chris?
I do, but I think it should be even worse. I don't think it should be chaos. I think Spriggan should be doing asymmetric warfare. I think they should be getting people on the inside, find out where they want to be, and beat them to it. Ruin what they're doing.
I raise our flag.
Take them down.
I raise our chaotic flag. And I declare I stand with Spriggan. I stand for chaos.
No mercy.
And I stand for fuck it. Which I don't think Spriggan wants to organise chaos, from what I can tell. They just don't want any of the fucking rules and nerds breathing down their necks because they're going to kill some S-ranks. They don't give a shit. They just want to like write it down and say, yo, it's dead. We stand with Spriggan.
You can't give him an inch.
Can't give it an inch. This is terrorism.
Take him down.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Exactly. This is about freedom. This is pure standing for yourself.
Stand up for your rights, my friends.
Yeah. Kona.
I did promise ERP, but we have run out of time because that story was epic, unfortunately. So ERP will have to wait till next drama time next week, my friends. That is when it will land. So 4 p.m. Friday, live on Twitch, live on YouTube, and of course you can catch it on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube on the Drama Time channel if you miss it, and it'll be there. So,
yes, sir.
Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you Monday.
And I salute you, Spriggan.
We stand with Spriggan. Goodbye, guys. Have you still got it set? I bet you haven't changed it. Yeah. Knew it. Fucking knew it.